Hello class! Today we've got a special lesson for you. We are going to assemble Atom Smasher from Wave 7 of DC Universe Classics. And just before we go through some of the other figures from the wave, but not all, I'll come back to that in a second, we've got Booster Gold, Captain Cold, that's his name, Kid Flash, Blue Beetle, Big Barda, and that douchebag Aquaman. Ocean Warrior Aquaman. It's not that I hate Aquaman, I just... he looks really horrible. At any rate, we are going to assemble this figure. We can see we've got the pieces here. There is one figure missing, the Flash. And the reason for that is I have never seen it in retail. It comes with a figure stand, so to me it's just not worth hunting for on eBay and stuff and paying the necessary price to do so. Because I like doing the Build-A-Figures, and he wasn't required for that. So unfortunately Flash has been left out of this wave. If I ever get a Flash figure, I'll make sure to do a review for it. But at this point, nope, no Flash, even though he is part of this wave. And one thing about this wave, before we start talking about Atom Smasher, if we forget about him for a second, and Flash, who's obviously not here, it's a very blue colored wave, right? Now obviously if we had Flash that'd be different, but you know, Booster Gold's a lot of blue, Captain Cold, Blue Beetle, Big Barda, and the Ocean Warrior Aquaman. Lots of blue in this wave. Atom Smasher adds some red, as does Kid Flash, and of course regular Flash would as well. And even before we start putting it together, just some of the good figures from this wave. I really like the Captain Cold. I don't care too much for the character, but the figure itself is really nice. The Barda is pretty good. I always have a thing for Booster Gold. I think he's awesome, even though there's not too much that's unique about the figure. And of course, to me, the real dummy of the wave is over here. That's Ocean Warrior Aquaman. I have absolutely no use for that figure whatsoever. But it was required to build the Build-A-Figure, so there you go, we had to get it. So, to build Atom Smasher, now I don't really know a whole lot about the figure. I'll try to talk about what I do know as we put him together. I know that I believe his powers, like really most I know about Atom Smasher is what I saw on Justice League Unlimited. And so as far as I can tell, his power is to get big. He becomes large and then he smashes things. Maybe his first name is Adam, I don't know. At any rate, got the lower half there put together already. Oh, let's see if we can put that. That didn't sound too good, but there we go. And you know what? Maybe what we'll do is we'll put his arms on here first. In they go. I don't think they're ever supposed to come back out. Now, I've heard some people talking about that, but I'm a little bit hesitant to try that myself. If you've successfully pulled the arm out of Atom Smasher's socket, please let me know. But I don't think it's probably a good idea. And pop in the other arm there. Just reef them both together real good. We can take his head. And we can pop that in place. There we go. Nice. And then we can take the upper half and the lower half. And we can put those together. There we go. To have a completed, really tall Atom Smasher. Which it should be really tall because, you know, the figure is really tall. That's his whole point. He's a big guy. So, there we have him. Looking pretty good. In terms of the mold, I would normally say, oh yeah, it's like your standard DC UC figure. And actually, I think it kind of is. Just looking at it side to side with some of the other figures. I think it's probably the standard molds, except bigger. You could correct me if I'm wrong on that, and I'm sure you will. And that's okay. But if we look at the mold, I really like his face. It looks like his face, now, I mean, there's no mouth, but it almost looks like it's painted instead of a hood, which is actually kind of cool. I really like his head on this figure. He looks pretty good. The mold for most of the torso, to me, is pretty standard looking. His arms, we've got the bracers on here, which I'm not sure what those are good for, but, you know, he's got them. I like the fact we even got the veins on his muscles, which I don't think we see in all of them, which means he's just absolutely... Well, to me, when I see that, I think of steroids, but that may or may not be the case. We've got this belt here, which looks like a weightlifting belt. I'm not sure what that's for. And his legs, nothing too much to write home about. And the boots, we've got a little bit of detail on there. And for some reason, they're ridged on one side, not the other. I don't know if that's part of just the standard design of the figure, or the character, but there you have it. Now, what I do know about him, didn't he was in Blackest Night when that was going on, and didn't he get killed during that? Oh, him or his brother did. Or maybe they both got killed. But but I seem to remember one of them getting run through by one of the Black Lanterns, and I thought it was Atom Smasher, because I'm like, oh my god, they killed Atom Smasher! So I said, I don't really know a whole lot about the character. I think he is the brother of somebody else in the DCU. I'm not 100% sure. I want to say... No, I'm not going to say, because I'm probably wrong. But he does have a brother, but his whole point is that he's very large. Now the coloring, I mean, that's more or less what I would expect from him from what I know from Justice League. We've got the kind of the flat red. It's not as bright as some of the other reds on some of the other figures, even though it's a darker red than our friend Kid Flash here. His is more almost orangey in comparison, but that's probably just because it's compared to the yellow. And his blue is pretty good as well. Now, in terms of articulation, it's going to be pretty standard for a DCUC figure. His head's going to go all the way around, and he's got a little bit of up and down movement. We can rotate the arms around, as we would expect, and the joint is pretty tight, which is nice. We can move the arm up. We can rotate at the tricep area, even though I find, even just going around once, it makes the whole thing a lot looser, like I'm just kind of cracking the joints in, working them in. The elbow, we have a bend here, and of course we can rotate the hand at the wrist. He's got that extra joint there in the torso, so he can lean way back, or he can look down on the puny people that he's about to smash, because he's Atom Smasher. Now, he should rotate fully at the waist, but he doesn't because of this extra belt piece that's on him. It looks like a championship belt for boxing or wrestling or something, I don't know. The legs, pretty standard, they go forward. They go back a little bit, and of course, we can make him do the splits if we really want to. His leg, well, it will rotate there at the thigh and bend at the knee, and of course, we've got the movement there in the ankle. So there we have him. He's got the atomic emblem on his chest there, because, you know, Atom Smasher. Now, just to give you a reference as to how big this guy is, we're going to grab another Build-A-Figure. We're going to grab Kilowog, who is still much beefier. He's so much heavier than Atom Smasher, it's not funny. And actually, they stand just about the same height. In fact, even here, Kilowog almost looks a little bit taller. Now, maybe we could say, you know, Atom Smasher just isn't at his full height, blah, blah, blah. But I think he should be taller than Kilowog. But that's okay. Whoops, we just smoked a whole bunch of the other figures in the wave. I don't care. But if we want to grab one of the more standard figures, we'll get rid of the stupid trident here off of Aquaman. If we put them together, we can see that Atom Smasher is considerably larger than Aquaman, which is nice. So, there we have him. I don't have too much else to say. I don't know a whole lot about the character. I think he's just a minor character, a second or third stringer. Only know him from Justice League. But, you know what? For Build-A-Figure, he's pretty good. He's big, which is awesome. And he'll stand nicely with a lot of the other Build-A-Figures. Now, is he worth building? I know that this is one of the waves that seemed like retailers were trying to get rid of. I don't know how difficult it would be to put this figure together on the internet in terms of buying it off of eBay, but a number of the figures I got, because I was buying it late, I was able to purchase for like 10 bucks each. They were just really trying to get rid of them. Actually, with the exception of Captain Douchebag here, I was able to buy all of them for 10 or 12 bucks each. I had to, for whatever reason, Aquaman was the regular retail price, which annoyed the hell out of me. You know what? Especially now that they're discounted, I think he's worth picking up. I think he looks pretty cool. And, you know, there are some good figures from the wave. I like the Captain Cold, like I said before, and Booster Gold is always awesome. So I think he's worth getting. If I was to give this figure a grade, you know what? He gets a B. He's pretty good. He looks alright, he's big, it's the Build-A-Figure, but there's nothing terribly special. I mean, really in terms of the mold, in a lot of ways, it's just a larger DCUC figure. I mean, the bigness is awesome, but there's nothing terribly exciting about it at the same time either. So it is kind of hit or miss. So I guess it depends on whether or not you're like me and you just like building figures. It's such a good hook for someone like me because I'm a completionist and I just like doing all that stuff. But if he's not, maybe, you know, maybe not. But there we go. So there we have him. I don't have too much else to say about Atom Smasher. He's a decent figure. I don't know. I think he's worth putting together, especially if you're going to buy some of the other figures for the wave. And now you can get them pretty cheap. So at any rate, I think that's our lesson. Thank you very much, and class is dismissed.